Yeah, so this wasn't exactly a video I was planning at any point recently. To be honest, I was mostly content to just let this shit rest in 2018 where it belonged, but it seemed like things keep happening regarding him and the echo of what happened to me. Think I'm about done. I've been about done. I want to preface this by saying this is 3 years and 3 computers ago at this point, and as I don't compulsively save screenshots of things that fuck me up so bad I almost end up in the hospital, I don't have DMs to show you. However, I do have proof that this happened, so you're just gonna have to wait until we get there. So let's rewind back to Fran. Now this has nothing to do with her in particular, so leave the girl alone. Last time I heard about her, she was minding her own business, so just let her continue on in peace. No, this has to do with the situation surrounding her. No, this has everything to do with the names Junkie. You may remember that the thing the CC got on me for during that debacle was leaking private DMs between him and Fran. I was a backstabber, duplicitous, untrustworthy. Did none of you think about how I got those screenshots? Did you think I hacked him and took them myself? No, he gave them to me. I asked him if I could use them, and he said yes. I sent him my script. I published my video. So I started getting attacked from all sides, by friends, colleagues, and a particular rat bitch. I had no idea why people were just assuming that I had done something considered so horrible and taboo when they were close enough to me to know that I'd never share something said in confidence, and that I'd never had a track record of doing it beforehand. It made me wildly paranoid that the people in my life thought I was so awful, and that they were more okay with the idea that I had taken someone's personal testimony without their consent than with just asking me if that was true. It ruined a lot of my friendships. One in particular, it took 3 years of processing to heal. It started the rat bitch saga, which lost me more friends. I'm not going to talk about that today. It caused me to be isolated and targeted by a whole community of people I thought cared about me. I lost it a little. I'm not ashamed to admit my parents talked about me going onto the ward. I never did, thank God, but shit did get dark. And I had no idea at the time why. And then Gwis came around. When Gwis's video about this came out, I found out where all of these assumptions were coming from. Junkie had been actively lying to people and telling them that he had no idea I would use his screenshots. This low-life cherry gecko had thrown me under the axle at the slightest sign of danger. I was furious. I sent screenshots of our DMs to a couple of friends. I told anyone who would listen. I talked constantly about the fact that he was full of shit. And then he changed his fucking story. Now, he'd agreed to let me use the screenshots, but he didn't know what for, despite the fact that I'd immediately followed his confirmation by sending him my script. I lost it. I was exhausted. I was angry. I was betrayed. I'd run out of inhibitors a long way down this fucking road. I confronted him, and he said the one thing that you just don't say to me. There's nothing you can say to me that I haven't already said to myself. So, fun little fact about me. This is one of the few things I would describe as an actual trigger for me. For some reason, everyone who's ever actively tried to hurt me, ruin something I love, or cut me out of a community has said these particular words to me. It's truly as if God gave me a handcrafted sign that says the person who says this to you is worth less than dirt. And I'm a big enough woman, a big enough adult, to admit I came a little fucking unglued. Maybe I shouldn't have said the things I said. There's a chance I went a little too far. I don't even really remember what I said, but I do remember it was mean. A kind of mean I try really hard not to be anymore, and my mental state was a reason, but it wasn't an excuse. I should have just blocked him. The minute that he said it, I should have cut contact, grabbed the screenshots, blocked him, and left. I didn't. I screamed at him. But, more or less, that was the end of it. My commentary career, a hobby that had brought me real happiness, and a number of friendships I had spent hard-fought times forging, along with my sense and peace of self. All of it gone. All of it destroyed by one stupid fucking dragon who has, to this day, never admitted to the part he played in it, or apologized to me. But you want proof. You want evidence that this happened. And I don't blame you. I would too. It's a really good thing we patched up our friendship, isn't it, Doodle?
Yeah, so being someone who is also a part of said Fran drama of 2018, I can indeed confirm this testimony. See, for context, just prior to the Spectre drama of 2018, you might have heard of it, Junkie was caught in the crossfires of an expose created by a user who went by the name YoYo3635. Said video was, to put it rather nicely, garbage and predicated on shady evidence leaked to her from an actually private server of Ponder Sprockets. Fast forward a few months, and after Ponder called everyone out on their behavior in that situation, Fran made a fuss about it, which led to Hiten making her video chewing her out publicly. When I initially saw Heten's video on Fran, I went to Junkie to ask if he knew what was going on, and what he had told me was that he didn't even know the video was being made to begin with. This apparently was also said to ex-commentator Next Gwissman, who also subsequently made an admittedly worse video on Hiten than I did, but this is not a competition. Point is, since we both made videos off such misleading statements on behalf of Junkie, Hiten wound up getting thrown under the bus so Junkie could save his own hide. This led to Hiten being upset with me and messaged me August 21st, 2018 with the following. Now, this should have clued me into something being up. However, it wasn't until 18 days later where something popped up that really had me questioning matters regarding the situation. At least he acknowledged he lied to me 18 days too late, but whatever. Eventually, I apologized to Hiten myself, and then did it again when I realized my first one was insufficient, and then again after I realized the second one was insufficient. And then, point is, Junkie single-handedly severed a friendship for roughly 3 years with a singular lie, And I would have been willing to overlook that. I wouldn't have liked that it happened, and I would have had a much harder time trusting him moving forward, but I was willing to give him a second chance. Then the stuff with Common happened. I don't know if the thing that Jar talked about explicitly relates to this, but considering the Toby drama was involved, I wouldn't exactly be surprised if it was. So again, for context, throughout 2020, commentators in all facets of communities were dealing with a bit of a nuisance who was actively trying to get vengeance on commentators for being lewd or in some way attached to NSFW content in some roundabout manner. Their method of this misplaced justice was doxing. After a while, I and a group of colleagues came together to try to gather evidence of their stalking and harassing behaviors so we could report this danger to the police. And at some point, Junkie made his Toby video. Yo, and if I can be honest, I personally think that video isn't very good. The whole reason I even had a backup that I gave to Common and Jar to begin with was because I wanted to cover it due to its blatant double standards and misrepresentation of events that happened in the Toby drama as someone who was there when it technically began in the Fruitcake Club. But I'm not here to talk hot takes on dramas that no one cares about anymore. I'm here to corroborate stories of behavior, and that's where we got into one of the aspects of Junkie's Toby video that was particularly infuriating, being his throwing of manga Common under the bus. Apparently, Common also felt that way about the video, and unlike me, who chooses to not be confrontational about a bad video, Common wound up talking to Junkie about it. This was answered with blatant apathy towards Common's feelings, a block, and Junkie leaving every chat that they shared, including the aforementioned evidence chat. Like, I may not have been there for the conversation, giving benefit of doubt in favor of Junkie, perhaps maybe Common was unreasonable about his critiques. From the testimony of someone else in that group, he wasn't, but I'm going off of he said, she said here, so take that with a grain of salt. However, for me, what I saw was someone who had put their pride as a commentator over both the feelings of his colleagues and the safety of people who were dealing with their private information being thrown out into the public. Like, maybe that wasn't his intention. I'm patient enough to give the benefit of doubt that maybe it wasn't. However, that was my perspective of a situation that surrounded a video that, even if it wasn't bad and I'm wrong about the criticisms of, still didn't exactly justify a cutoff of a fellow colleague who was in prior good terms and cutting off from a chat that was being used for the greater good. Like, come on now, I can't be the only one who thinks it's a little shaky, am I? Whatever. That's my testimony. Like, I know what'll come from this video. I figure I'm gonna get chewed out for getting involved in a drama as I usually do, but I want to make my intentions clear that I'm only here to corroborate testimonies by explaining my side of things. The worst thing that Junkie did directly to me was confusing some bimbo that got angry that I defended him. It's nothing compared to what Common and Hiten had to go through that I experienced secondhand.
I want to make what I want out of this excruciatingly clear. No misunderstandings, no interpretations, only my intent. These are my words. I don't want to hear you twist them. I don't want to hear you change them. I don't want to hear you even attempt to interpret them in any other way than in this couple of sentences. I don't want your disingenuous, half-hearted, slimy, bitch boy apology. You could grovel at my feet for 1,000 years, and it wouldn't be enough to get my forgiveness. I don't want to see hide nor scale of you in my DMs, in my friends' DMs, in this comment section, or in my peripheral vision. If I see your name in my mentions, it better be you admitting to the disgusting, sleazy shit you pulled to ruin my career as a smokescreen for you actually getting your hands dirty for once. I want accountability from you, and that's it. Because as far as I go, redemption's not possible. Fuck off, Junkie.